All right, Kyle, what do you think about this Tuesday Tower? Detroit athletes, who's the best of the best? I've got Tarik Skubal in the top tier. Second tier, Penei Sewell, Aidan Hutchinson. Third tier, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameer Gibbs, Brian Branch. In the fourth tier of the pyramid, Cade Cunningham, Riley Green, Sam Laporta, and Dylan Larkin. What stands out the most when I first read this?
The thing that stands out the most to me is, like, Cade Cunningham has to move up.
Into the Hall of Fame category?
Yes, dude.
Who are you taking
has to.
down?
You're telling me Brian Branch and Jameer Gibbs are just for sure Hall of Famers? I love those guys, man, but I would say Cade has a much better shot than those guys.
Well, here's my argument. I think Cade Cunningham is one of the 15 best players in the NBA. Brian Branch is
not one of the 15 best players in the NFL.
Well, hold on. There's way less players. Okay, I phrased that horrendously. Cade Cunningham is one of the, what, 6 best point guards in the NBA? Brian Branch is legit like the best safety in the league, not named Kyle Hamilton. Jameer Gibbs, to me, is one of the 3 best running backs in the NFL. I do kind of think those guys are Hall of Fame caliber talents.
Let's change it to what is he on the Lions? You know? Those are the 3rd, 4th, 5th best players on the Lions.
Okay, there's 53 guys on the Lions roster, and it's
I'm just
arguably
saying,
the most loaded roster in the NFL. I don't think I can just put Cade Cunningham on a Hall of Fame trajectory career the way I can with Gibbs and Brian Branch.
I would heavily disagree. I mean, Cade's going to be the best player on the Pistons for at least the next 10 years.
Yes, he is.
And then you would assume that, at least based off of last year, that they're on an upward trajectory to at least be a good team over the next X amount of years. Hopefully they can go on a playoff run at some point. It obviously all depends on if he wins a championship, but Cade's got 8-time All-Star locked up. He's got All-NBA appearances locked up. Like, he's the biggest superstar that the Pistons have had since Grant Hill in 30 years.
That's a low bar. That's a very low bar.
So? I mean,
I don't want to. I'm not doing this list.
Brian Branch is the best.
On like
Jameer Gibbs is the best running back the Lions have had since Barry Sanders. You know, like, if you want to go that route, like how many good running backs have the Lions had since Barry Sanders? You know,
none.
Right. So if you're saying it's a low bar for the Pistons side of thing, it's the same for the Lions.
But that's not the argument I'm using to why I think Jameer Gibbs needs to be on this list. I just flat out think he's a game wrecker in every way, shape, and form for this Lions team, and if he was on any team in the NFL. I'm not saying Cade Cunningham wasn't, but he was now it sounds like I'm knocking Cade Cunningham.
No, and I'm not trying to knock Gibbs or Branch, but it's just like Cade is the star of the team. He drives the engine. Like, everything the Pistons do relies on him. Just the sport of the NBA the superstar is so important, whereas Gibbs and Branch, for sure, like, do so much, and they control a lot of different things, but not in the way that Cade Cunningham does for the Pistons.
No, and that's, I think, just the different nature of the sport.
Right, exactly. It's no knock on anyone. I would just say that as far as a better chance to make the Hall of Fame, I would have to give Cade that spot over both of those guys.
Well, it's also much easier to make the Hall of Fame in the NBA than it is the NFL, but I get your argument for Cade, and it kind of pained me to not put him in that group, but he's been an All-Star once, and I think, well, I mean,
Jameer Gibbs has been
yes, but Gibbs,
everybody's so young here.
Gibbs is one of those guys where it's like he's already. I feel like in the NFL, there's not as much like, whereas in the NBA you have to kind of grow into yourself and develop into being one of the best guys. Sometimes you just put a guy on the football field and it's like, oh, this is one of the best players in the league. And I feel like that is exactly what has happened with Gibbs and Brian Branch, to where they're already 2 of the best players in the NFL, where Cade is slowly working his way into that tier. So who would you take off? You'd put Cade on over both of those guys?
I would put him on over, like, as far as if I was prioritizing the list, I would have Cade on over both of them. I don't know. I can't really decide which one I would keep as far as who stays in that 3 and then who moves down. That's why I kind of have just said both, because I can't really decide. I would probably put Branch down to perennial all-star athletes, but it's kind of, it doesn't really matter to me.
Second best safety in the NFL.
Sure, man, but like we can't keep doing this comparison of as far as Cade versus like the different sports. I think Cade has a lot of these accolades locked up. And you say it's much easier to make the Hall of Fame in the NBA over the NFL. Yeah, that's why I'm saying that Cade deserves to be in that spot. You know, like that's what we're doing, is it not? Future Hall of Fame guys?
Yeah, that's the name of the tier.
Like, I would say that Cade has a much easier chance of making it than those two do, as far as his resume is going to be loaded. I mean, he's going to be a 5+ at least time All-Star. He's going to make multiple All-NBA appearances. You hope that at some point he can at least make a NBA Finals. I don't want to just chalk it up that he's going to win one. Obviously, I'm not doing that. But
do you think Jahmyr Gibbs has done more and Brian Branch has done more in their time in the NFL than Cade has his entire time in the NBA?
No, I would say not, because it's one, you can't compare it. Like Cade,
well, that's kind of what we're doing. That's kind of the whole point.
You're right,
this.
but like what Cade has done for the Pistons, like let's make this very simple. Take Gibbs off the Lions, take Branch off the Lions, take Cade off the Pistons. I think we all know what the worst version is out of those three.
Yeah, it's
the Pistons without Cade.
They're
like,
the
not
worst
even
team
close.
in the league.
Not even close, right? So, I mean, that's a stupid way to go about doing it, but it kind of proves my point a little bit. So, it's once again, I'm not trying to diss Gibbs and Branch at all. Like I really don't want this to come off as that, and it probably is. But I think Cade's got to move a tier up. Is basically the only reason I'm doing this.
I think Cade is more important to the Pistons than either of those guys are to the Lions.
Correct.
But I just think, in comparison to their sport, Gibbs and Branch are better players right now than Cade Cunningham is in his respective sport. And if that's the part you disagree with, then I think we can. Yeah. We might just have to agree to disagree on that.
It's just hard to me. It's very difficult to compare as far as who's better at their own sport when Cade has to do so much more, and he is the superstar. Whereas Gibbs and Branch are the not even top 2 players on their own team. Once again, I get it because it's football and there's so much more guys and different sides of the ball understand all of that. But they're not even the best player on either side of the ball.
Let's go up the pyramid then.
Okay.
Are you fine with the first 2 tiers? Detroit's best being Tarik, Skubal, and then the statue-worthy guys, even though building an offensive line statute's probably crazy, but if any city's going to do it, it probably is the Lions with Penei Sewell. And then those guys being Penei Sewell and Aidan Hutchinson. Are you fine with those 3?
For sure. Yeah, I don't really know who would have touched this tier as far as, like, St. Brown. I agree that St. Brown's in the perfect spot, future Hall of Fame guy. Not quite statue-worthy. At least he's just not with those 2 guys. Those 2 guys are in a spot of their own. Clearly the best 2 guys on the Lions, top of their position as far as on each side of the ball. Top of their position as far as in respective to the NFL at more important positions than a lot of the other Lions guys. So,
and I think
totally
Penei Sewell legit has an argument to be the top guy. But Tarik Skubal now on his way to win a second Cy Young. Yeah, fine.
Tarik Skubal's the best. I mean, we've been talking about there's a chance that Tarik Skubal's the best pitcher we've seen. You know, the whole Verlander Skubal thing has been a discussion for all season now. I mean, if he goes back-to-back Cy Youngs, like,
it's the first time it's happened in the American League since 2000, 2001.
Hey, there you go.
All right, the rest of the list, the other guys that are in the perennial all-star athlete camp at the bottom of the pyramid. It was Cade, Riley, Sam Laporta, and Dylan Larkin. Did Kirby Joseph get snubbed?
That's what I was going to ask you. Is Kirby the first guy off the list?
He has to be.
For you? Yeah, because I was just wondering who you were debating with here. Logan in our chat is saying Lucas Raymond should be on over Dylan Larkin as far as just the Red Wing representative. I do agree that there definitely has to be one from every team. So, I mean, I guess you could maybe take that perspective. I'm not going to argue that either or. I think Larkin probably represents the Red Wings a little bit more than Raymond does. But, yeah, as far as Laporta or Kirby, because I assume that's what it came down to, right? Riley Green has to make the list.
It came down to Larkin or Kirby Joseph.
I think a Red Wing has to be represented here. I would be that. I know that they haven't been the best team, obviously, as far as Detroit teams go. A Red Wing has to be on the list, though. You can't not include any of the Red Wings. So, yeah, I would agree as far as Laporta being over Kirby. Love Kirby, absolutely. But
I don't think there has to be a Red Wing. Like, that's not the reason Larkin ended up making it over Kirby Joseph to me. Maybe it is. I didn't think that, like, it wasn't going to come down, like, okay, if it was 4 years ago Pistons, there wouldn't have been a Pistons on it. This is supposed to just be who are the best athletes. And I think, Larkin's built up a good enough resume to where he has been a perennial all-star for the past 4 seasons. So he gets the nod over Kirby Joseph, which, like, Kirby Joseph launched himself into a completely different stratosphere this year. But the interceptions just aren't really like a reliable stat, I don't think. And to be fair, I think he ball hawks better than anybody in the league. That's why he led the league in interceptions. I don't think it was as lucky as it was in the case of a Diggs a couple of years ago for the Cowboys. So I think Yeah, maybe part like if the Red Wings sucked, I wouldn't have included any on there. I just think they don't suck enough to not have anybody on it, so I went with the captain.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I probably would have went with the same group of guys there. I was trying to think of if there's a case for anyone else.
Not really.
No, not really. I mean, like Goff. Does Goff have a case, right?
I figured you would bring this up.
He kind of has
to
have a case, right? I mean, I don't know who you put him over. I mean, I don't know. How do you have Laporta and not Goff? I guess I don't.
Because here's why.
Okay.
If we're doing who's most important,
right? This is different than when we did the face of the city stuff. That's way different than best athletes. Totally agreed.
If this is who's more important, Goff is probably in that second tier. But Jared Goff is not having a statue built of him. Jared Goff is not going to the Hall of Fame if his career ended right now, or has a trajectory to go to the Hall of Fame. And he's not really a perennial Pro Bowler. Like, he's had some really good years in Detroit, but everyone in that tier below him at their respective position, I think, is just kind of better than Jared Goff. Like, we've always talked about Jared Goff. We think he's around the 10th best quarterback in the NFL. Sam Laporta's a top 5 tight end, if not higher. Cade Cunningham is a top 5 point guard in the NBA. So, like, you go through and compare. Riley Green's one of the best outfielders in the NBA. Jared Goff's just kind of on the outside looking in terms of quarterbacks. So, there you go. That's the Tuesday Tower. We'll have
wait till the Zach McKinstry statue comes.
Right, until next week, maybe another one.